Right, we're live. Hello. Good afternoon, everyone. It's New Mom Monday. I'm Fancy Nancy, and this is Bri.
Hello, guys.
And I'm usually behind the camera, but we just
steal
started
my
this
baby.
last week to do some New Mom
You can have him back
Mondays.
when he cries, Danny.
Yeah, exactly. I'm a mom with 3 kids. This is one of them. This is Zoe, and she's 5, and Kylie's 10, and Finley's 2.5. So I just want them to know that I'm a mom too. But
You are a mom.
I'm not a new mom, like with a newborn, but I'm new to the crunchy scale.
Not a new mom yet.
Oh, go. No. Brian would be like,
Brian's
what?
probably watching the show going, what's going on?
That's not happening. But anyway.
Awesome.
Yeah, and Jackson is happy now.
Jackson is happy for now. Jackson is 3 months. I've also got a 3-year-old at home and a 12-year-old. And Nancy came on last week for our first show to kind of help me go through my story and my transition of crunchiness, of total medical C-section birth to my crunchy natural birth. So I've had a lot of people reach out to me with questions.
Really?
Have you
Good.
as well?
Yeah, well, I've had a few people with like, I do that stuff, or I don't do that stuff, or, you know, having questions about different things. And one of the big things is, like we've talked about, and we did this in like in the preview for today, common does not mean normal, which is something that Dr. Patrick says.
Yeah,
like,
that's who
his
we
thing.
learned it from.
Yeah,
That's one of his famous sayings. He talks about it a lot in regards to hormones and PMS and all different kinds of things. But we were talking this morning about colic. We've been kind of talking about doing gassiness and colic, but after this weekend, I think we really knew that this was the show we wanted to do today. So, basically, Jackson is fully breastfed baby. Him and my second baby, I breastfed till 2 years with Jace, 1 year solely breast milk, and then we introduced food. Okay. So that's our goal at Jackson as well. Yeah. But we started, he was a very gassy baby, and I'll go through a couple of different things that can cause that. I had overactive letdown and some different things.
Oh, and sometimes you never know, like, if it's gas or, well, and I think until like 3 years, I think you're blaming it on teeth. Isn't it always teething?
He's teething.
Like, I think it's
the
teething.
12-year-old is teething. That's why she's crappy.
Exactly.
And then they're teenagers, and then they're done teething.
Right, exactly. But really, I mean, you never really know what it is.
You don't. But I really think that the medical community, not our medical, you know, the other ones nowadays really just say that's how the baby is. That's how the baby's nature is. And I will say my second son, Jace, who's now 3, definitely was a higher needs baby. He definitely wanted to be held a lot. We ended up co-sleeping by default. But Jackson is a real mellow baby. I mean, this is him. He's either eating, sleeping, smiling, or playing. That's it.
Or pooping.
Or pooping, yeah. The only time he cries is when he's hungry. He's obviously gaining weight just fine and very well fed. But I have not eaten any dairy, so we're gluten-free.
Completely gluten-free.
Family by nature. I went dairy-free other than butter around when he was 2 weeks. Then I decided to take out all the butter because we were really having, he was very uncomfortable. He
and
sleep.
how could you tell? Like, he wasn't sleeping, he was
wasn't
crying.
sleeping well, he was crying. He was not your standard colic. So the medical definition of colic, I call it 3 times 3. 3 hours of crying, at least 3 days a week, for at least 3 weeks straight.
Whoa.
So that is a medical definition of colic, and the doctors say it's just a colicky baby, and a mom is supposed to accept that.
No.
3 hours a day,
terrible.
3 times a week for at least 3 weeks long.
Well, okay, so I know with my middle one, she was maybe, like, I thought it was colicky, but it was not that bad.
Yes.
And so I think it was more of a, I'm guessing it's a tummy ache, and do the drops and whatever, and just try to figure out what it is and get over it.
That's how Bella was, my first. So I would not say I've had a true colicky baby that is screaming in pain for that long. But he is by nature my easiest natured baby. I mean, he's slept great, everything. So I decided that we should try cheese for the first time.
So after having been dairy-free for this whole time?
Yep. So on Saturday I had tacos on a gluten-free shell, and I added organic grass-fed cheese because I thought sometimes maybe that would be better.
At least it's that,
and that's, you know, our little visual display here. Obviously, we didn't put
Look at that.
cheese in his bottle, but Sunday was horrible.
So you could tell right away.
Yeah,
Or, like, how
so
long?
I ate dinner. Of course, nights are always hard to tell because they're sleeping a lot, but he definitely was fussy. And by the next morning, we thought, is it just a fussy period? Let's just keep going and feeding. So when he's with me, I feed off the breast.
Right.
When I'm away at work, I pump.
You pump so
With
that he still gets.
Jace, I exclusively pumped for a while. It was an EP-er, as they like to call it, because he just was my high needs baby
Now,
and
if
decided
you're
he
not
didn't.
on the crunchy scale
Yeah.
as far as Bri.
Didn't want to
Now
take
you
a
know.
bottle all the time.
Yeah.
So with him, so we were feeding, and the day continually got worse and worse and worse yesterday.
Oh no. Just
I
crying,
luckily,
fussy,
crying,
tummy
fussy,
ache.
screaming out in pain, arching his back.
Yeah.
We were getting 20-minute naps. Usually he does 2 to 3 hours. And so I felt horrible.
Yeah.
Luckily, I
So
had.
you knew right away.
I knew right away.
And then it's mom guilt, like
And then it's
immediately.
mom guilt. Luckily, I had a ton of fresh,
Yeah.
pumped milk saved up
Oh,
because
good.
I'm an overproducer. He shares with other babies.
Yeah.
But so we switched him to bottles right away.
Yeah. To the dairy,
To the
your
previous
breast milk.
my breast
Yeah.
milk previous to the tacos.
Yes.
Yep.
Right.
So he has been, and still here today, he has been having a bottle. So he's had a bottle. I even got up in the middle of the night last night, and his middle of the night was a bottle.
So are you dumping now? Like how long?
No, I have a baby that is,
Yeah.
mommy had some issues and can't produce.
Okay.
So her baby can do.
Can do dairy?
Can do dairy. He can do
Okay.
dairy just fine.
Okay.
Yeah.
I was gonna say, like, I've seen the meme where it's, don't cry over spilled milk unless it's breast
Unless
milk.
it's breast milk,
because
yeah.
it's like,
Yeah.
you don't want to dump that.
Yeah, no, so I have like 40 ounces. It's in the fridge up front. She's a
Good.
patient here.
Oh,
She's
nice.
coming to pick it up.
Nice.
So
Well,
that's good. So I don't have to
awesome.
waste it. So he is doing. You can still see he's a
Aw.
little funky. Can you smile?
Fuzzy. Jackson.
So
No,
yeah, so
he's
it got
like,
me
no.
thinking. I was texting last night, and I was texting you, and I was texting my mom. And I have to say hi to my dad.
Yes.
I don't think he's on because he's working,
Aw,
but he
good
says
afternoon,
he
Tim.
says I talk about my mom a lot. So hi, Dad. And he asked if Nancy has a British
And
accent.
I'm not British, although I like to play one on TV. No, I like to pretend that I am sometimes, but I'm not.
So I was texting her, and I said, he's a
Yeah.
totally different baby. I gave him a bottle now. Some of it's worked out of the system. He's back to his little wet noodle, sound asleep self.
Oh.
And she said to me, can you imagine if you didn't know this?
Yeah,
If you
right.
didn't have thought to remove that from your diet.
Yeah.
And she said, I think you should do a show on it. And I said, tomorrow.
Okay, I'll do it tomorrow.
Yeah. So
It's true though. I mean, some people don't realize that if their baby's fussy, that it's not just normal.
Yeah.
You just think, oh, this must be, especially
It
when
is
you're a new mom.
wildly
You don't have anyone to
accepted.
compare it to.
Yes, it is wildly accepted that babies just cry.
Yeah.
They do sometimes cry.
Sure.
But they do. I firmly believe, and I could be proved wrong if I have more babies, but I firmly believe babies cry for a reason. They're
Yeah.
trying
Oh.
to tell you something. And I mean, he was crying in pain.
Right.
And so I wanted to touch base on a few tips that I have that have worked really well. All of my babies have digestive issues.
And
they
how do you
always
know
have
that? Just because.
skin issues,
Yeah.
tummy issues, and mommy has major
Oh.
digestive issues.
Oh.
Much better now, obviously.
Right.
I did all my food allergy testing and
Which
leaky
helps
gut
then,
stuff, but I
yeah.
still, dairy does not do well for me. I gotta be really careful what I eat.
Plus, if you change the way you think to realize that it's something more,
Yes.
and that you want to know what's going on with your child, then
I am
you
the
put in
one
that
that
effort to
I'm
figure it
never
out.
just settled. My
Right.
anxiety is like, oh wait, you did this, maybe something's wrong. Oh, you blinked twice? Do you have that? Oh, you know.
you blink twice in a row.
You blinked twice in a row. Do you need eye drops? Do you need an
That's
herb
awesome.
for what eye?
Yeah.
Like, yeah.
What is it? What is it?
So we're gonna talk about 6 things. We've got them on the board.
Yeah, we have our little cheat sheet today
our little
because
cheat sheet.
we
We're
want to
trying
make sure.
to stay
Yeah.
on track.
Right, and we
Yeah.
just want to make sure that there's like actual practical steps that you can take that are going to help.
Yeah. And again, I didn't know any of this.
Mm-hmm.
This is what I mean, this is the most impact I feel that people have said they've gotten from the show so far. I didn't know any of this with Bella. I did not wake up in the morning going, oh, I know I should try this. But after going what I went through with Bella and seeing where she's at now at 12 years old, my boys, my 3-year-old and my 3-month-old, I just know so much more.
Yeah.
So
you have the tools.
we'll go through a couple of quick tips. I'm not getting into all the data and the research on it because we'll be here for 6 years. I was Googling this morning different websites of how do you address colic. There's multiple things.
Right.
But we'll go through a couple of the big ones today. My biggest one, hands down, and I'm speaking in regards to nursing infants, obviously, is what's in the mom's diet. Number one is dairy.
Yeah.
Hey, buddy.
Is he being cute?
Is he being cute?
He knows he's on
He's
camera.
our clickbait.
So, right, exactly.
Is dairy,
yeah.
because it can come through the breast milk.
Right.
Typically, 4 to 6 hours is when it shows up. It can show up as soon as an hour. It can show up 12 hours later.
Oh, that's what I was going to ask before. Like, how do you really know when it's in there? It's just a...
You don't.
Yeah,
you just
have to
know you
guess.
haven't eaten cheese for 3 months, and all of a sudden you have it, and he has the worst 2 days ever. You
and that's
assume
the only
it's
thing
the cheese.
that's
The
changed?
only thing that's changed.
That's this.
Yeah.
So was it worth it?
No. Oh my gosh, not even close. And I love
Yeah.
cheese. It's my favorite food.
Yeah.
Not even close. No. Nope.
Yeah. So
No.
you won't do it again?
No.
Well, what's the next thing you'll try to introduce? Do you think you would try cheese first again?
No.
For dairy? No. You're like, no. I'm going to wait another 3 months.
And people say to me all the time, I could never do it. And I'm like, you could. I sleep at night. He sleeps when he doesn't have, like, you
but
can
the results
do it
are motivating.
when you
like
see
when you
the
see how
results are
different,
motivating.
yeah. When you see how different the child behaves, and you then it's worth skipping the
So
foods.
dairy
you
by
like.
far is the biggest one, and that's all forms: milk, yogurt, cheese. Some people can take away we don't drink milk as a family. We drink almond milk and coconut milk. Some people can just take away glasses of milk and things like ice cream, and they're okay with butter. I can't touch any of it.
So no butter for you or
No
anything,
butter.
yeah.
So reading recipes. The cool thing is you benefit. Side note: you lose weight really fast after postpartum because you can't do any processed foods. You can't eat cheese. You can't eat cheese curds if they're your favorite food.
Yeah. Even if you want to.
So that's number one across the board. I read an article once on a website, and it said that food intolerances, food allergies are not as common through breast milk as people like to say it. I highly disagree.
Yeah.
I highly
was gonna
disagree.
say.
Once I started talking about it, I realized how many moms it was affecting.
What? That the food allergies are affecting? Yeah.
And I
the moms
couldn't do
and
milk
babies.
either with Jace. So my 3-year-old. So I knew going
And
into
so-
him that I was most likely it was going to be the same thing.
So if it's for breast milk, like on our note, it says mom's diet.
Yeah.
So what do you start with? If your baby is fussy and you can't test for this, right? I mean, otherwise we would say.
You can't.
But for the baby?
Yes.
Oh.
Yes.
I'm like, wait, I missed that part.
So my first one, so the goal for food allergy testing, which we do at all our clinics, would be not till after 3 months postpartum because the mom's immune system is going crazy. However, if I couldn't have figured it out, I would have tested.
You would have tested.
Yep.
And so you test mom.
You test mom as long as
Okay.
baby is fully nursing. If baby is older and baby is eating solid foods and not nursing, you're going to test baby.
Okay.
Okay?
So you test mom, and then once you know that, then it's kind of a given.
Yep.
for
So
the kid.
right away, because I wasn't waiting till 3 months, or till I got test results back.
Because I
pulled out
remember
dairy.
that. Like you were like, I just have to do this.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. So dairy is by far the number one across the board. Hey, do you want to kick around and lay? He's my baby that likes to lay.
Yeah, he
Hi.
does. He's always happy though.
Hi.
He is.
So dairy,
cut out dairy
yep.
first.
Next
What
one's
else?
gluten and soy. Are the other
Okay.
next ones, which I was already gluten free and
Yeah.
soy free. I don't eat those
Yeah.
foods. And then after that, if you can't figure it out, tomatoes are big ones, bananas are big ones. I had food diary for
Just
a while.
like the acidity or something.
The acidity of
Yeah.
orange juice. There's a whole list. You can go online and look at foods that affect mom's, breast milk.
Yeah.
But dairy was a big one for me. But then more importantly, you can test mom. We do a food allergy test.
Yeah.
So.
And then avoid those, and hopefully
avoid
you'll
those.
see results pretty quickly too. I think,
Yeah.
especially with breast milk, it's
Yeah.
like you
Yeah,
eliminate it for a while, and then
Like dairy, they say 2 to 3 weeks it can take to get out of your system and then a couple of days out of his. But I noticed drastic increases.
especially because you were so strict.
Because I was so strict.
Yeah.
Now, mind you, if I would have been eating dairy for 3 months and then took it out, it's going to
Yeah.
take a while for those proteins to get out of my system.
to get out.
So,
Yeah, and then to notice it.
Yeah.
So what's your next tip for colicky
next
babies?
tip, and this is more for the teeny tiny babies, but since it's New Mom Monday, I wanted to focus on that, is the baby eating too fast. So I have a fast letdown. which means that my milk comes out rocket speed.
Yeah, right.
When he was really little, somewhere in between 2 to 3, he's good for now. A little bit. Thanks, Tab. 2 to 3 months is when it got better, but so make sure they're not eating too fast.
Yeah.
I had to pump beforehand. It wasn't an ideal
really?
situation. Yep, until he was 2 months old, every time before I fed him, I had to pump. I had to take some of the milk out and have the letdown happen. And it is what it is, but once I got the relief of it, like I wanted this beautiful, blissful nursing, and I would just be wherever and I could nurse. No, I had to carry my pump, but it's okay because my baby was happy.
And it's so funny because I'm sitting here thinking, because I'm so new to the crunchy scale and I'm done with my breastfeeding kids and everything, that sounds like so much work.
It wasn't, because you're home.
But I mean, but
on
it's worth
maternity
it.
leave.
Well, sure. So
You're worth
especially at
it.
the beginning.
And then block feeding, it's a new term.
What's that?
It means you only feed off of one breast at a time.
Oh.
So I actually, this might be TMI, only feed off of my left
One
side
side.
still to this day. I pump my right.
Yeah.
Because otherwise I have to pump. This way I don't have to pump beforehand. I only have to pump a couple times a day if he's with me. So block feeding means instead of switching left to right.
Right. So he's just more comfortable with that. Is that the goal? Or
The
what's
goal
purpose?
is otherwise they get two. So you have foremilk and hindmilk. Foremilk has much higher sugar content and higher lactose, can cause them to be more gassy. So what was happening with me is I was getting too much foremilk and then not waiting to get the fatty, yummy hindmilk, and I would switch sides.
Oh.
Because I had,
Oh, yes. Yeah, I don't know any of that.
And we're
stuff.
going to do an episode fully on breast milk. I don't want to go down all those rabbit trails, or we'll be here for another half
I didn't know
hour.
any of that.
Yeah.
I breastfed for a while, but definitely not as much as I would have liked to.
Yeah, and I only did a couple weeks with my first, and that's why I was so adamant with my next couple,
About making
really
it work
figuring it out.
for
Yeah, I've been
now,
an overproducer, I've been an underproducer, I've had clogged ducts, I've kind of been
You've done it all.
run the gamut. So,
Oh, gosh.
yeah. So,
That's crazy.
watching how much they're eating. Big
Eating too
kicker for
fast.
us was specific colic bottles. We used plastic Dr. Brown's. Pretty much everybody nowadays has heard of Dr. Brown's.
Yep, those are the
but they
the
make
one
glass,
to try.
crunchy scale.
But these are the ones that, anytime you Google something about colicky babies or gassy babies or whatever, it's always this bottle.
Yep.
This is like the answer to everything.
Yeah, so we use those with Bella. They were game changer. When I had Jace, I knew I would be bottle feeding because
I remember trying like every kind of bottle I could find for the kids, just because they just weren't eating good. And of course at this time it was formula, and it was
That's what
the
I
Tommy
with Bella.
Tippy bottles
Yep.
and all this, and then I tried those.
Well, and start oats at 3 months
Oh,
because
yeah.
if they're already,
Yeah. Just get them eating something. They just need to eat something, but really no.
Yeah. I mean,
But
look at these guys.
there's
He's,
more-
he's definitely
he's-
eating just fine.
He is healthy. Let's call it healthy.
You
shall
are
we?
healthy. Smiley guy.
Yeah.
So,
Well, and which it's kind of funny. The next one is overstimulation.
yeah, they call it the witching hour at night.
Oh.
Your baby is just at night. Him when he has dairy through me, it's all day long. But just at night, there is a such thing as overstimulation. So
Only during this chunk of time, like
when
before
they're
bed.
all
kind
day
of
at a
thing.
daycare and there's
Yeah,
kids
oh.
running around, but now the favorite things for moms to do is gizmos and gadgets and lights and flashing screens.
Oh yeah, you
TVs
get home
are
and you
on
want to play with
everywhere.
them and you want to entertain
They're
them.
overstimulated. So we go to I call it my little crunchy daycare. And it's a Montessori-based daycare here. She's fantastic. It's all wood toys. There is no mobiles with music
Too
and
much.
flashing lights.
Really?
It's a calm environment. Yes.
That sounds so nice.
So that's something to try. My kids have never had an issue with overstimulation. I mean,
yeah, but does that just affect?
But
does
I
can
have
they
seen
just
it
not
happen.
concentrate? How does that affect their eating?
I don't know
does
that
it-
necessarily affects their eating, more their
Okay.
colic.
Oh, okay. So just like when they're being fussy.
Because
that
if we're
it's kinda
talking
why.
about the 3-hour crying, or the crying at night, just hitting different. So,
So
yeah,
just
so
kinda
switching from
chill.
eating
Okay.
now to other options for colic.
Got it.
Yeah.
Got it. So
Yeah.
just kind of give them some downtime.
Yeah, again, not something that I've had an issue with, but I've definitely seen it affect colic. So that was number 3.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, awesome.
4, probiotics, which I brought up. There's tons of probiotics flooding the market. One of my favorite ones, of course, is ours. And it balances the immature digestive system,
Okay.
especially if you're dealing with a C-section baby. They're not getting
Oh,
the.
that was me.
Yep, that was me with my Bella.
Yeah.
They're not getting the the
like
probiotics and the
natural.
good bacteria as they're coming through the birth canal. So probiotics. And then the other thing I brought here, it's open because I used it yesterday. We use grape water, lifesaver.
Grape water.
Yes.
I saw your note. I was writing some notes down, and I saw grape water, and I thought it was grape water.
Yeah,
So
grapes.
clearly,
So
you can
it's
see the
got
note says grape
chamomile
water.
in it. It's got fennel and ginger root. We use an organic one, glass bottle, of course.
Right.
I get it on Amazon. But that's I don't want to use grape water on the regular to cover up and mask the symptoms, but I'll use it when I have to. So for me, it was taking a step back and saying, what is causing this colic?
Right. Getting to the root.
Getting to the root issues. I had to slow down my letdown. I had to use different bottles. I had to watch what I was eating. But until I figured it out, that was a lifesaver for us.
So
there's
did you-
many different brands on the market. I prefer that when it's organic, and it's
Did
in a
you
glass
use
bottle.
this after the cheese
That's
situation?
why it's open. I used it yesterday. Yeah, game changer.
Yeah. Otherwise, did you use it
So-
before that?
I used it
Before
when
you
he
were
was really
doing-
little till
Yeah.
I was really, when they're little, he's much better now. He can handle his milk better. He can handle my letdown better. But I definitely was using that.
Yeah. That's cool. It's like a magic juice. Like,
Magic juice. Yeah, I used to actually go to bed when he was about a month old, and I thought I could still do butter, but that needed to go too. My butter. It was organic. It was grass fed.
Yeah, but
you
it's
know?
still.
Yeah.
doesn't
I would
digest.
take the little syringe and I'd put the the dose of that in there on 3 syringes, and I'd set it in a bowl on my nightstand. And every time I got up to feed, because he was eating every 2 to 3 hours,
Yeah.
I would feed and he'd get a syringe of grape water, and then I would just to calm the
Just to
digestive
calm it
system
down,
down after he ate. Otherwise, he would eat and he'd be relaxed for like 2 minutes of I just ate. I'm in heaven. I just got all this breast milk and all this
then-
melatonin, and then it was,
Yeah.
constantly. So,
Yeah.
so
Just
those are
fussy.
my remedies of let's get us through.
Those are
and-
good
and-
remedies.
yeah.
We have,
Probiotics.
Emily says, when you introduced dairy to your 3-year-old, did you follow the dairy ladder? Do you know what that is?
I've heard of the dairy
It's the dairy
ladder.
ladder.
Now that so when Jace was about 9 months, I started adding. He is smiling away. Now that he thinks I'm
Can't see
talking to him. Now that when Jace was 9 months old, I started introducing dairy back to my diet.
at 9 months.
and he seemed to do fine. So when he not to his diet, to mine. We started again with
Oh, sure.
avocados when he was a year. And after that, we added in organic grass-fed cheese, and he has done fine with it. I've not had
Wow.
any issues. He's my little healthy rock star, can eat anything.
So is there certain,
So-
like, how do you know when you can start introducing? Just like this, like,
I
just
just
try it?
Played with it. I
And see what
decided that
happens?
pizza looked really good one day, or tacos, and I tried
Right.
it. And yeah,
Yeah.
I always had enough saved up
it's
to
that
try it
cheese.
because I cannot imagine yesterday if I wouldn't have had something on backup
Right.
to try it and then gone.
And then to know.
I have to live with this for a week.
Yeah.
He's in pain for a week because I wanted tacos.
And then to know that you're going to
So-
keep feeding him
That's
that
the
milk
problem.
that
It's
has
not
the
just
cheese
like,
in
here,
it.
take it and take it away. Like, I
Yeah.
could just take it out of my diet.
Right.
It's still using that.
But
to
you're
make
still
milk.
giving
So,
that to him. Yeah. Those are really
Yeah.
good things. I'm
Yeah.
sure maybe we can put links to some of this stuff. This is available on
Yeah,
our website,
that's
right?
available on our
And
website.
then this, I'm sure you can find on Amazon. You don't
Yeah.
want the bottle.
You don't
with-
want the bottle with the cheese.
You don't want the bottle with cheese. So
Yeah.
obviously we're at the Wellness Way.
Yes.
So one of our big things with the 3 T's and the things to address is chiropractic care.
Well, and we're gonna do a whole show on chiro. We're
Yeah,
gonna
I'm really
adjust a
excited for
baby
that one.
live.
Yep.
Maybe we should do that next week.
Yeah.
Yeah,
That'll be really
we'll see
fun.
what comes in.
Dr. Jason?
Because people get Dr. Jason. I was also talking to Dr. Mitch today.
Oh,
They're
cool.
both a wealth of knowledge. People come in and they get so scared. You adjust your baby and it is regularly
It
I adjust
does-
all my kids.
I was scared. I mean,
But-
let's be honest. I
Yeah.
had never had an adjustment before, so I'm like, this is crazy. But then to see them, like, hang the baby upside down,
Yeah,
I mean, that's
Yeah.
crunchy.
I would do it right now, but I feel like it would steal the show
It
for
would
next
steal the
week. But we
show.
do. Stretches out their
But-
esophagus and their digestive system. It is not routine for me to walk in the house and he's crying and my husband is hanging him upside down. Or my mom, because she's in the lifestyle with us, I walk in and she's like, "Oh, you're fussy," so I'm just gonna hang him upside down.
You're
for a little while.
serious?
I'm 100%
Oh
serious.
my gosh. That's
But
crazy.
chiropractic,
Yeah.
big. So
Yeah. Oh,
the
that's
goal
funny.
is to remove. Birth is traumatic.
Yes.
Right?
Right.
Whether you're in a C-section, you're getting twisted and pulled out, or you're being forced out. I was lucky to have, I didn't use forceps, I didn't have to use a vacuum, I didn't have to
You
use
didn't
any
have
of that.
extra trauma
Yeah.
to the birth. Yeah.
But funny enough, first time he was adjusted, he was 2 days old. And Doc actually came out to my house and adjusted him, and he said there's something, you know, I can't speak the lingo, but
right.
C whatever, you know, whatever, T. And he adjusted, he said, this right here, well, lo and behold, that little part that kept getting out of line is in direct regard to the nerves that connect to the stomach. I could be explaining this wrong, and we'll get the docs.
But they're connected
But
somehow.
they're connected.
Right.
And I was like, did you know he's been gassy? Did you know we've been dealing with all this?
That's
Do you
crazy.
know that? Yeah. So,
Like he read your mind.
yeah. So it's basically you want to remove the interference on the nervous system so that it can signal as best as possible. I mean, the docs, they're light adjustment. They're not taking a baby and going like this. It's light, but
And it's so fun to watch.
Different. I mean, there's things you can adjust in a baby to make them poop. There's different. They know which nerves. You know, if you're dealing with the vagus nerve, leading directly. So the vagus nerve, Mitch was teaching me this morning, is one of the 12 cranial nerves.
Vegas, like
Vegas, V-A-G-U-S.
what happens in Vegas
Yeah, no,
stays
but
in
not an
Vegas.
A. Yeah.
Okay.
Which in Latin means wandering, which means it goes to everything. So the vagus nerve goes to everything, but it's also the only one that goes directly to the stomach.
Oh.
I really hope I'm saying all the scientific stuff correct.
We'll have the docs
So adjusting that neck,
explain it.
super important.
Right.
Plus, because I only feed off the side, this little guy has a tendency to look this way,
Which
so
we
it's
talked about,
super important that we get him adjusted and I don't end up with a kid like this.
Well, and for a while, I mean, I never had any of my kids adjusted when I had them as babies, and I think it was Finley, that always turned his head, which is why I noticed it in him. Always had his head turning one way, and then they get that little patch, you know, of baldness on their head and whatever. So we always had to focus on that. But, you know, with chiropractic, you can avoid all of that.
Yeah.
And make sure that they're
So
aligned.
It's removing, and I mean, just, you've seen babies just,
I know.
but
That's
huge
what I was gonna
for
say.
colic. Again, just, there's other options out there. So the last one that I wanted to talk about,
And this is the one when we were texting, I was like, I have questions for you, but I'm not going to
questions for
ask.
me.
But
So,
what is this?
something I didn't do often. I never did with my first. I didn't do often with my second. But now, I mean, how often do you see me walk around
All the
without this? So
time.
this is one of my preferred baby carriers. A baby wearing.
Yeah.
Jace was more of a high needs baby. This guy is gassy. He likes to be up. He likes pressure on his tummy. He's a tummy sleeper. I'm not all about the whole Backs to Sleep campaign. We can get into that in another one.
I never was either.
But he's a tummy sleeper. He has been since the beginning. I don't believe that stomach sleeping contributes to SIDS at all. But
That's another show.
yeah, that's another show. Might have just lost a few people.
That's another episode.
He's a stomach
That's all
sleeper, and I'm a baby wearer, and it helps with when they're crying and you're trying to get something done. I have other kids at home, so putting him in his sling, they call, when the baby comes out, they call it the 4th trimester. So this little guy just spent 9 months or 9 months plus connected to you in the womb. Certain temperature, warm, next to mom's skin. Hi, buddy. You good to hiccups? And now,
Everybody wants to take the baby.
sure, you can take them. We're almost done. Now they come out and you want to put them in a swing, or you want to put them in
Or lay
a
him on the
crib.
floor,
And I
or-
would
yeah.
get so frustrated that he didn't just want to stay there because I have dinner to cook and I have homework to help for the 12-year-old, and the 3-year-old wants trains and
Right.
baby wearing. It's game changer for us.
Right.
If for any reason other than I can keep my hands free, but also
That's what I was going to ask. Is it just for the convenience, or is there a benefit there
it also
too?
helps with the gas. It has to do with them staying upright. So instead of laying down, where the milk can travel back up the esophagus, they're upright. It can process correctly. They're close to mom. It's pressure on their tummies a little bit. It's just, I mean, it's...
And they're just happier that way all around.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, these are, okay, so those were 6 tips. Do you want to go over what they were? Because, I mean, we went through a lot of
In
them.
case people just are tuning in at the end, they know where they can go back. But really just addressing the fact that just because colic happens constantly nowadays doesn't mean that you have to, there's things you can try other than just accepting it. And there are times, like we said, babies are just going to cry.
Yeah.
But the 6 that we went through,
they're just-
number 1 for me was breast milk, what's in the mom's diet, what's in the baby's diet. We'll get into in a different episode if baby's already formula fed or you can't produce different options.
And what options there are for formula.
Yeah, what options there are for formula or breast milk donations, homemade formulas. There's dairy-free formulas, different kind of options. But breast milk, eating too fast, watching how they're eating, black feeding, overstimulation, adding in some probiotics and gripe water till we can figure out what's going on, chiropractic, and baby wearing. And then 7 through 22, I mean, there's a whole list of all different things you can try. I'd be happy if somebody reaches out and says, I tried all 6 of these and this is what I'm getting.
And they didn't work.
Be happy to look at that. But definitely.
Because I'm sure it's different for every child. And
it is different. And that's, you gotta just, that's the Wellness Way model.
Right.
We don't guess, we test. So we gotta just keep testing. So
instead of guessing,
things.
or instead of thinking that it's normal that your baby is crying all the time, or instead of thinking that your baby wants to look at rattles all day, like maybe that in itself is something that's going to make them a little more chill.
Yeah.
You know, and like be fine with calming down to eat and not affect their digestion.
Yeah.
You know, there's a lot of different things in that list of, you know, one of them could make a difference for your child, or you might have to do all 6.
Yeah.
And avoid cheese.
Yeah. And don't eat tacos.
And don't try it again for another 3 months or something, right? Because
at least I don't even. It was more. We tried all these different things because I'm one that I'm going to try everything because I don't care what works. I want a happy baby. I want a comfortable baby. I want a happy baby. So we didn't really know how much dairy was affecting me, and he literally has had the most fantastic couple of weeks. Just chill, happy, relaxed, great baby. And so we said we will know. We will know if it. And
once you see that. There's no turning back. So. Like once you know your baby's happy and you're doing everything that you can, you know, to keep them that way, to keep them happy, that's what matters. Yeah. That's awesome. Do you know, what are we doing next week? Chiropractic adjustment.
Should we?
Yeah.
Chiropractic, Unless anything major comes in that we have to touch
you guys
on.
Have
I've had a couple of questions come in on traveling and breastfeeding and pumping, freezing milk. So we'll see. We'll see what comes in. Do we have any other questions popping up?
The formula is going to be a big thing.
Well, before we go.
No, there were a couple of comments about the dairy ladder, like we talked about. Okay. And newest has been a stomach sleeper since 4 months. Danielle. And Lori says good information.
Awesome.
So not a lot of comments, but hi everyone. Jorby, Stephanie, Danielle, Crystal, Dawn, Justin, Mark, Danny, the whole group of everyone, Amanda, Holly, and now everyone's saying hi. I'm sorry, I need to say hi at the beginning instead of at the end when we're done.
Should we start over?
Sure.
Okay, tip 7 through
tip
22.
7. Oh, essential oils, but really, I mean, not going on to tip number 7, but when Finley, I was dairy free, and there was one night that I had pizza, because I'm a sucker for pizza. Anytime.
Put a little digestazine on his tummy or a little fennel, ginger.
He was screaming, and I went outside because my neighbors were outside, and I felt like they were probably judging me like crazy because my kid just kept crying.
Pizza. Yeah.
And she had essential oils, and she was like, "Oh, try this on his belly," and I'm like, "Oh, thank you," and it was a lifesaver. So there's definitely more than the 6, but those are good places to start and find out what you need to do. But we'll be back next week, Monday at 2 for a chiropractic adjustment. Yeah. Unless something else comes up before then. So we'll see you then.
Bye, guys.